You better put your goggles on. Big Sills! And it is a football Friday. How you doing? Say it with me. Hey, Eagle fans, are you really looking forward to Sunday? Say it with me. Holy cow, do I? Hey, how come last night I'm watching the Jaguars go to 5-2 on the season? I'm watching Trevor Lawrence. That's a quarterback you want to build your franchise around. That's exactly what you're looking for. That's besides the hair, which is goofy. He looks like a Barbie doll. Besides the look and all that goofy stuff, he actually looks like Lassie. And I'm like, outside of the hair and all that, I'm good. Doug Peterson, 5-2. Damn, that guy's a great coach. Shit. Wow. Man. Good win for them last night. By the way, Derek Carr's having a nuclear meltdown. So he talked shit to Pete Carmichael. Hey, man, I think the pressure's getting a little bit around your throat there, kid. You might want to back off the ledge there a little bit when it comes to talking shit with people that are trying to help you get somewhere. Bad look, kid. Bad look. You're trying to resurrect your career, dude. Oh, man. Sunshine. That's it. Guy looks like sunshine. Come on, sunshine. Holy cow, man. I mean, seriously, that's how rednecks look down in Florida. Still have like a, what's that thing, that ponytail and long hair? He looks like a redneck. Oh, man. He's a good ball player, though. He's a good ball player. Wow, is Doug Peterson a great coach? Damn, I can't get over what I watched last night. By the way, Mike McCoy, nice job. Nice job, Mike McCoy. Look at Mike McCoy and Doug Peterson working with Trevor Lawrence as they're getting him better and better and better and better. And they're in the AFC. Week 8 of college football this weekend. Hey, by the way, Jim Harbaugh will be in the NFL in 2024. I think that pilot light's just about out for him in college ball. 2 investigations by the National Communist Association of America. That dude's going to be in the NFL next year. And it won't be in Chicago. You know where it'll be? You know where it'll be? Los Angeles with the Chargers. The next head football coach of the Los Angeles Chargers is going to be Jim Harbaugh. You want to go out on a limb? Next head football coach. A coach who was 49-17-1 in the NFL, took a team to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, is going to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. There's your new head football coach next year. Okay? Week 7 of the NFL. Damn, that Doug Peterson. I'm sorry, I'm having my Tourette's moment here. So if I happen to be saying that throughout the show today, please damn, that Doug Peterson's a damn good coach, man. Holy cow. So, I mean, hey. Oh, by the way, don't forget this is the last day. Damn, that Doug Peterson's a heck of a coach. Of our great giveaway, your chance to win gift certificates with our friends at Hooters. All you have to do is email your information to dansilioshow@gmail.com. We will announce the winner on a football. Damn, that Doug Peterson's a good. Sorry, man. I'm trying to control myself here. And Tone's going to throw out a code word throughout the 4 hours. And all you have to do is identify that code word and you send it to Tone. We will announce the winners on Monday. Damn, that guy. Whoa. Woo, man. How about that kid, Trevor Lawrence, last night? 209, 63 yards rushing on a bad kneel. Hey, SOS. Mrs. Watson, you know, you might want to take a look at what Trevor Lawrence is doing in Jacksonville. You know, Mrs. Lawrence, the quarterback in Cleveland, might want to take a look at that. No, he's not Mrs., he's Ms. Ms. Watson, you might want to look at what that kid did last night, Thursday Night Football. Okay? Hey. Okay? Ms. Watson, you got to show up for, you know, my arm's not feeling, you know, really great, so I don't know. I have to go get that's a dude that gets a pedicure. I don't let any dude touch my feet. I mean, I'm not closing my eyes and I'm waking up and there's a dude touching my feet. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't see any redeeming quality about that thing there with a dude touching your feet. I'm not getting a pedicure. Nobody touches the Big Sil's feet, especially a dude. Not working for me. Okay, but Miss Watson in Cleveland, I guarantee you, it gets pedicures. Okay? No dude touches Big Sil's feet. I ain't closing my eyes waking up in a salon. I look down and there's Billy touching my toes. I don't know. Hey, two things you'll never see with Big Sills. Me at a bar with a bunch of dudes, like 25, and a dude named Billy touching my feet at a salon getting a pedicure. That ain't working. Okay? I mean, you get a pedicure in San Francisco at that stadium that the Niners play in. Not me, man. How you doing? All right. Game of the week at the link. Game of the week. Dolphins versus the Eagles. Hey, get the MLB playoffs going on, right? Hey, get this. You got a harder shot to get into a strip club in Phoenix than you do to get in to the ballpark that the Diamondbacks play in. I mean, there's a longer line at the $1 Million Saloon in Phoenix than there is to get into the ballpark to watch a Major League Baseball NLCS. That's so sad. That's so sad. I mean, honestly, that's criminal. Ace, Big Sills. So was it Howie's ego that Peterson? Oh no, we're getting to this. Was let go after winning the Super Bowl, and that's why you think we may not win it with Nick? How you doing? Like Ace was looking at my play sheet here. What are you doing, Nick? What's going on, Ace? That guy in Jackson. Damn, that guy's a good coach, Doug Peterson. Shit. All right. You see, this is one thing we don't do. We don't do soft opens. We get right to the steak. I don't really like foreplay or anything like that. Big Sills is not a foreplay guy. I like getting right to it. And that's what we're doing here. Okay? I'm not much on small talk, as you can tell. And some would say, well, he's got limited vocabulary. Okay, whatever you want to go. I don't care. I'm not trying to fool anybody like people like Kwani and LJ and some of these other guys in here. You know, Kwani's like, you know, tries to be sophisticated. But always remember this, dude. You're from freaking Philly. How much sophistication can you possibly have? I mean, okay? You're just like me. Don't shit yourself. You could dress yourself up all you want. Okay? But you're still a Northeast guy. You can act sophisticated, Kwani, but you're not. See, Kwani's a guy like, you know, he changes his name like Tony Dorsett. Instead of Tony Dorsett, he's like Kwani. He's Kwani. All right. I'll tell you something, man. My guy Tone, by the way, segment at 3:30 Eastern. Then the greatness of Philly Godfather at 5:30 will join us. I want all this time for us. I want all this time for us. Man, my guy Tone's running for mayor of Philadelphia the last couple days, man. I'm telling you, between the Rager comment the other day and that prediction I heard, shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. I may have some reservations about some of them takes of his. Holy cow. I can't wait till 3:30. All right. Here's how I see this puppy playing out at the link. Yeah, we'll have Mayor DeShields on at 3:30. Hey man, let me tell you something. He could have a 4-win team, and he's still gonna go and say, I think we beat the Cowboys 19-18. The Cowboys could be 15-1, and he's gonna go like this. I think we're gonna win the game. A safety 9-7. Yeah, that sounds right. Even if both teams sucked, I'm going to go probably 6-3 Eagles. Mayor DeShields. That should be the new gimmick, man. He is the mayor of Philly. Tone is the mayor of Philly. Good for him, man. It's all good. Here is how Big Sills sees this game playing out on Sunday. And then I'm going to tell you something that I think you'll appreciate after I give you my prediction here. Eagles, passing yards, passing offense, 9th, 245 a game. Rushing, 150, second in the league. You're putting up 400 yards a game? And you're keeping every team in it? I'm going to tell you why. Points scored, 25-8. Remember that number. That's 6th. Your defense. Pass defense, 232-2. That's 20th. Make sure you remember that number. Rush defense, number 2. Outstanding, 65-8. Let me tell you something. In today's NFL, if you're under 100 yards rushing and you're at 65-8, you're dominating people at the point of attack, especially in your tackle position, in your tackle play. It's really good. Now, look at this. Points allowed. 20.7, which is 15th. So you're scoring 25 points a game and you're giving up 20. Theoretically, if we round them up, you're scoring 26 points a game and you're giving up 21. That's a 5-point differential. You're in every game because of your turnovers and your shitty red zone offense. I mean, it's plain and simple. These are not just numbers now. These are who you are and what you're doing over a 6-game collection of trends. It's not just stats. It's what you do. And it's very simple to see. You keep everybody in your ball game because, quite frankly, I mean, wait till you hear what the Dolphins do. Now, again, the Dolphins have to prove something to me in this ball game. Here are the Dolphins. Passing yards, 316-8. Number 1 in the NFL versus the number 20 pass defense. Whew, ouch. Rushing yards. This is going to be interesting to watch. 181-8, number 1 in the National Football League versus the number 2 rush defense in the NFL. The game could be won right there. Who wins that battle? Points scored, 37.2. Do you understand that this Dolphin team is putting up 500 yards a game in offense? Like 495 something. Woo! Pass defense, 229-2, 19th. Yeah, you know what they're doing right now? Do you know what the Eagles are doing? They're looking at that 229-2 and looking at the 19th ranking. You know what they're doing? We're going to throw the ball. They've already got an idea how they're going to attack that team instead of waiting until you get into the game and go off your 19 scripted plays and then adjust at the game, not adjust eating pizza Saturday night. So it's predictable, man. You're not flashy. You don't do any motion. You don't do any. It's not really that hard to figure the Eagles out. Okay? The problem with the Eagles is you just usually don't have the talent to beat them. Hey, you know what? You can have a simple boxer who's just a great knockout guy. That doesn't necessarily mean you can have all the skill on the planet. That guy still knocks your ass out. You get knocked out. Brian Johnson is on the hot seat. Next few games will be critical for him. I've seen enough of him in 6 weeks, Brother Sills. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Points allowed, 26. That's 26. But here's the difference. They're scoring 11 points in the differential between points scored and also points surrendered. Now, again, I will surrender this point here. Who the hell did the Dolphins play? But who the hell have the Eagles played? And you got beat by a shitty team. At least they got beat by the Bills. Wait a minute. The shitty team beat the Bills. That's crazy. The Bills have better wins on their schedule, I never thought about it, than the Eagles and the Dolphins. Think of that. How about that fun fact? The New York Jets have 2 better victories than anything both the Dolphins or the Eagles have done going into this Sunday night game. How you doing? Bucks and Rams? Look at this guy. Scott thinks beating the Bills and the Eagles are the equivalent to beating the Bucks and the Rams. Talk about a turd take. Eagles have played way too many games super close, and especially against subpar rosters. You know, I found out something yesterday from some of the people in the Miami organization. Do you know what Vic Fangio's role was in Philly? Do you know what his role was? And then I heard Fangio address it at his weekly press conference. Do you know what his role was? Tone, anybody, do you guys know what his role was as a consultant for the Philadelphia Eagles and a special advisor? There you go, JM. I think people really just absolutely thought he was a defensive consultant. He wasn't. What he was doing was game planning against the game plan that Steichen had a year ago and how he would go about game planning with the talent that they lined up against a year ago. So Vic was taking the opposing team's talent and looking at how he would go against the Eagles, and he was more of an offensive assistant. That gives him such an advantage because on a week-to-week basis, he was. There's no question he was probably helping out a little bit on the defense and philosophy and such. But his number one job was to game plan on a weekly basis the game plan that they were going to use that Sunday in 2022. So on a week-to-week basis, he was figuring out how to beat Hurts. That's got to play a factor here. He's got to know the strengths and weaknesses on what to do and not what to do. I was always under the assumption, and wrongfully because I didn't do my homework, that this guy was helping more out on the defensive side because there were more struggles there a year ago. You want to know why the Eagle defense struggled, but you want to know why the Eagle offense was so good last year? You had Shane Steichen and Vic Fangio putting together a game plan on a week-to-week basis. Think about that for a second. Think about that. You had Vic Fangio and Shane Steichen putting a game plan together and trying to figure out all the quirks and what would work and not work on a week-to-week basis. That's some pretty good minds putting game plans together. That's some pretty good shit you got there. He was trying to figure out a way to beat Steichen like in a war game. Remember I told you that's what some of these coaches do. Like Belichick was more of an offensive. That's why Bill thought he could put a defensive guy in there, because he and Brady used to do that on a week-to-week basis. Okay? Pretty smart. So he's got direct insight. The personnel really hasn't changed much. It hasn't. And everyone keeps going, what's the difference? Coaching. I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to say this about the Dolphins, and I want to be candid here. You got to show me you can show up at a big game and win. Okay? I mean, I thought Buffalo did a nice job on you. You got into a big game in your division, and I really didn't think you really did a great job. I even think actually New England kind of slowed you down. You got to show me you can do something here in a game on the road. Hey, if you're the Dolphins and you want to win a Super Bowl, you got to beat teams like Philadelphia on the road. Because you may have to go somewhere cold on the road in a playoff game. If you don't win your division, say you're in the AFC East and Buffalo wins the division, you're going to have to go on the road, maybe to Cincinnati. And you got to win on the road against these elite teams. Okay? You've got to. Big Sills, I called Boomer and Gio on WFAN this morning and asked Boomer a few questions and mentioned you and JAKIB Media. I'll super chat what he said. Get out of here. Get out of here. Did you really? You did not, maniac. You did not. By the way, man, you guys are doing some historic things here with the show. Killing it. Okay, we got a lot of room to grow, but you're killing it. Keep it up, man. A couple million people checking in the product, man, between the clips. James, great job. Tone, spectacular job. All of you, Xander, Big Joe, keep growing this bad puppy, baby. Keep growing it. Now you guys may hate me. Here we go. Prediction time. (27-20) Miami Dolphins. They beat the Eagles on Sunday. Now, can I tell you why? I think the injury bug prohibits you from slowing this team down in October. If you play this game in 2 months and you have all your personnel, I'd probably take you. But I think you have too many nicks and bruises and people out in October. Play this game 2 months from now, you probably win this game. Okay? Do I think the Dolphins are better than you? What is it, October 19th? Yes. December 19th? Probably not. Probably not. Do you understand where I'm at here? Dolphins by 10 until coaching doesn't screw us. Do you get where I'm at here? I'm not necessarily saying that, and by the way, my problem is suspect on the defensive side for the Dolphins. Okay? Not so much the offense. But I think the Fangio factor does matter. Anytime you can game plan, look at what it's done to your team when you don't have strategic game planning going on. Okay? So, again, does that make sense to you guys? Devin asked a question. If the Dolphins get beat by the Eagles Sunday, Devin, I'm prepared to say that the Philadelphia Eagles are back. And if you can stop that offense with the limited talent you have on defense, there's not a chance in hell Kansas City can beat you. And it would be hard-pressed for any team in the league to beat you. A win like that, when you're wounded, you're going into this game with a wounded right tackle, Blankenship, not a lot of confidence in Sidney Brown, Slay's banged up. You're going into this game versus a track team that's healthy. You're going to try to run a 4x100 relay game in a relay versus the Jamaican national team with Usain Bolt on it and beat them with guys that have been hurt with hamstring injuries. 88's right. Now, how about this? Look at 88 here. 88's right. If I'm the Eagles, I'd run the ball 65 times at them. Make them stop the punch. Don't feel you have to be in a TV show called The Arms Race. The Eagles want to be in the arms race. Instead, you should want to be in the heavyweight champ. I'd rather be the heavyweight champion of the world than the fastest guy in the world. Okay, you're the fastest guy in the world? Congratulations. I'm the baddest dude on the planet. Who'd you rather be? What title do you think holds more weight? Being the baddest MFer on the planet? Or the fastest dude on wheels or whatever? I don't really care about that. 27-20 Miami. And one more time here. The only reason I'm saying this is because you're wounded. I don't believe the Dolphins, if you put your 53-man roster healthy with everybody there versus the Dolphins 53, like watch this. Jalen Waddle and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Tyreek Hill. I don't know. It's just different. Those are speed guys. I mean, AJ fits, like Tyreek Hill doesn't fit. He doesn't fit the Eagle offense. That's not what they are. They're a punch you in the face, no shit, no frills kind of football team. Hey, now, Riley, do I think you can? You bet I do. But I'm not confident in the coaching. I'm just not confident in the coaching. And get this. This is going to be a huge game for Jalen Hurts. Is he going to insert himself more? Is he going to go, no, we're not doing that? Is he going to want to be more involved in the game? I hope so. That's another thing. You think Jalen's really evolving also as a guy who thinks he has the equity in the locker room and in the coaching meetings where he's going to say this? Let me ask you this, and think about this for a second. Do you think that organization allows quarterbacks to have input in the game plan of what they want to do versus what the coaches want to do? How many people think that Jalen Hurts has some input? I mean, has major input right now? I don't. I think he's got a say. But they empower those coaches because Howie does. Shit, Carson Wentz didn't, and he was a second runner-up too. He had no say, even when they thought highly of him. Why would they change that notion with Hurts? They gave Wentz big money. And when Doug and him were trying to do something, everybody in the upstairs, according to Tone and all you guys, wait a minute. Okay, this guy says it's fake. Then how come Doug Peterson every Monday after a win had to go and explain 17-14 wins to your stupid owner? When you have to explain wins to your owner should sit in the corner and shut the F up. This is not a beauty pageant, dog. This is about wins and losses. It's the NFL. Who cares how it looks? You think anybody gives a shit how a game looks in October when you're standing there in the NFC title game? You think anybody really reflects back? Yeah, I remember that Atlanta game, and we only won 17-14. And, nobody gives a shit about that. You care at the moment, but you don't care in January. And one more time, I want you to hear what I'm saying because I know most of you don't. You only take 5%. Okay? You only take 5% of what I say. Okay? On October 19th, you're injured and banged up. I think the Dolphins, you have no way of slowing them down. There's just not a chance. If they only had Tyreek Hill, I would think you probably have a good chance to stop that thing. But they got a bunch of dude, they got guys all over the joint, and they got a superior play caller. Brian Johnson versus Mike McDaniel. Really? Even Vic Fangio, there's superior coaching in this game in the Miami side, not your side. There's nowhere outside of Stoutland. Okay? You don't have good coaching. Again, I want to emphasize and pull back on that because I do like Desai. Okay? Riley goes, you got guys all around the field too. Who? And your safeties. Who? You don't have a linebacker that's going to cover those running backs and those slant patterns. You're 20th in pass. You have nobody to stop that offense. You couldn't cover guys last year at your linebacker position. And don't give me that stupid-ass conversation about a guy who's played 43 plays, Nakobe Dean. Oh, I forgot. He's a molecular engineer. Whatever that means. Two things you guys said that was the dumbest shit on the planet this past offseason. That Nakobe Dean was a molecular engineer and that Brian Johnson's been boys with Jalen Hurts since he was in his crib. It's no bearing on anything. It has no bearing on anything. Well, those guys have known each other and that. Well, what am I looking at then? What does a friendship have to do with play calling? Because you know the guy, that makes you a good play caller? Hey, no disrespect to Dom. No disrespect to that guy that was on Sports Take, but because you're best friends with somebody doesn't mean shit. Are you a good play caller or not? Are you a good defensive coordinator or not? Nobody gives a shit. Bill Belichick doesn't like anybody. And that includes Lawrence Taylor and coaching for a decade. They respected one. You need respect for each other. And I'm not saying that Brian and Jalen don't have it. I'm sure they do. But you're either a good play caller or you're not. And you being boys with somebody has no bearing on it. Well, I know him. Fantastic. So you just have to take one of the blocks down when it comes to being a good coordinator, knowing the guy's temperament. Fantastic. Okay, now let's move on to play calling. How's it been? Shit. There's that beautiful 5-1 record. Yet the Jets have better wins. And they're 3-3. Okay? And they're 3-3. Three and three. How you doing? Now let me hear some of your scores for this game. This ought to be hilarious. I got Tone already 31-30. Let's see. 31-30 Tone. I'm writing that puppy down. 27-20 Sills Dolphins. He's got birds. Hey, Married to Shields has the birds. Really? What do you got here, man? As an Eagle fan? Whoa! 40-20? JM 34-20. I'm assuming birds. 34-20. Holy 24. Here you go, Sills. 50 to Hey, 77. Honestly, say it with me. You were one of the guys that they greased the pole on Broad Street because they were worried about you. Say it. Hey, 77. Say it. You were one of the guys that they were nervous about when they had the parade there. And, you were one of the guys. 50-17. Come on. Hey, were you not one of the guys when they 77-21? There's another grease pole guy. Hey, you better hope it's not 77 in the other side. Because that team's capable. Look at Tone putting them obnoxious score. 37-30, Eagles. 70-20. Another grease pole Broad Street guy. How you doing? Olive oil on the poles. Hey, Quan. Extra virgin olive oil. Okay? Extra light virgin. Come on, Kamala. 80-21. 28-13 birds. Is it Kamala or Kamala? Okay, I can't tell the difference. They visit the border. Chargers keep losing. Trade for, oh man, I love Derwin James, one of my favorite players, man. Extra virgin fitting for me. Yeah. Eagles are fond of wasting time eating up the clock. They could never score that many points. You're right. But hey, you're trying to stop that other team on the other side from scoring that many. 28-24 birds. Could be. We will turn tuna into Dolphins Tuna Sunday. All right. I'm going to do a topic here, and I think you guys may – wait a minute. I have to debate whether or not I'm going to do this because this is going to really hurt. And Tone probably won't come on at 3:30. Or Married to Shields won't come on at 3:30 after I do this. Go ahead, Sills. Yeah. Are you guys ready? After watching last night's Jags game and how well it was coached, surely now, after the 2 years in how things are handled in Philly, Howie Roseman can't really think that when he fired Doug Peterson, that this coaching staff is an upgrade from Doug. There is enough of a work sample on what Doug's doing in Jacksonville, on the one thing that Roseman has done to cripple your franchise on a week-to-week basis and stunting the players' growth is the lack of coaching across the board. Do you have the best O-line coach? Yes. Is Rocker look good? Absolutely. But these coordinators, hey, Steichen, to Howie's credit, was a really good hire. Gannon, in my opinion, hey, get this. When you become a coordinator in Philadelphia, did you hear what the Sports Take guys guest said? These guys are going to be in line to be head coaches. So do you really think they care about the players or themselves and the growth of themselves to try to get a head coaching job? When you're a coach, if you become a head coach, it's a precursor to the success you have because your players, and you're there for your players. Look at the advancement that Trevor Lawrence has shown between Urban Meyer, a bad coach, and Doug Peterson and Mike McCoy. Look what Doug did. Do you know, you see, a lot of you probably do know. I know Mike McCoy very well because he was the head coach of the Chargers. I should post that picture of me and him. I really liked Mike. I just never thought he was a head coach. But you know what he is? He is a heck of a quarterback coach and play designer. And do you guys know who was in San Diego on that coaching staff with Mike McCoy when he was the head coach? Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni, okay? Mike McCoy. We're all on that coaching staff. And Frank Wright was the OC. They got this little pool, these guys. Then what did they do when Frank got the job in Indy? They all went there. And then when Doug got the job, the offensive coordinator right now in Jacksonville is Doug, and the quarterback coach is McCoy. So he puts good people around guys to win. Phillip Rivers' best year he ever had was in San Diego when Reich was the OC. And if I'm not mistaken, even when Phillip Rivers went to Indianapolis, didn't they take that Bills team to the very end of that ball game where they could have beat them? I think it was the Bills. They almost beat the Bills. Rivers was insane. He had a great year that year. Had a great year. Look at the coaches that those guys put around their talent. Look at the coaches you had in 17 around Wentz. And when that left, Carson Wentz deteriorated because Howie didn't properly put good people around Wentz. And that, combined with the infighting, was clearly the demise, and Wentz's character was exposed. Because Doug, Frank, all those coaches in that building, they massaged it and hit it. Do you understand when you have lesser coaches like that, you expose your players more to tendencies that they rely on running right, not taking interior blitzing and pressure well. All of that comes back into play because you go back to what you feel comfortable doing. And you're apprehensive. When you watch that team last night, that Jacksonville team, I'm watching that Jacksonville team. Trevor Lawrence played with a bad wheel, a bad knee. He was questionable. 5 carries, 63 yards. Doug says, we need you to run. You got to run, dude, whether you're hurt or not. That's what's going to loosen up that Saints and Dennis Allen's defense. They're assuming you're going to throw for 375 yards. Look at the fundamental philosophy change. Trevor Lawrence in a bad wheel, you know what they did? They put the cheese out for Dennis Allen, and he bid on it, and he lost at home in the Superdome. where Lawrence has never won. That's how you freaking develop and coach. Setting the cheese. That's why when you get into games with Mike McDaniel and Vic Fangio, you mean to tell me you think that I feel comfortable with Brian Johnson and Sean Desai versus those guys with that type of talent and how hot they are? Where would I come up with that and go like this? Yeah, no, you have the personnel even when you're banged up with all the injuries. Nick Talk, a Biden beat the fence on Monday, D-Cells. Julio Jones looks slow in Tampa. Need him in the road zone. That's it. Shit, I'd line him up at tight end. Trevor Lawrence looked great last night. He was great. Continuing to get better. Hey, let me say this to you. I promise you, Doug Peterson's going to win way more division titles in that division than Nick Sirianni will win in the NFC East. You know why? He's got more say. You think Trent Baalke's telling Doug Peterson what to do? Highly unlikely. Especially when you build the equity up of winning a Super Bowl and turning a guy's number one. That's the number one overall pick that was looking like shit under Meyer. He looked like Baker Mayfield. Doug goes in there, sprinkles the Doug Peterson dust on him. Shit, that guy's a franchise quarterback. Not a chance in hell. So I ask you again, why in the world would Howie Roseman hire a guy that was less the talent of Doug Peterson? I believe Patricia covers up and helps decide. There's nothing wrong with having consultants in there too, Devin. Why would Howie do that? Ask yourself this question. He's not an upgrade. Why would you have the lesser guy in there and you fired him? You had to sabotage him in the end. Why did you do that? You know why? Because Doug was building the equity up in the building the same way they gave it to Chip Kelly. And he didn't want to be swept in the closet again. So he fired him and set him up. That guy is a really good, he should have been the coach of the year a year ago. And again, I'm not revisiting, I'm just saying, you fired that guy? And you think Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Doug Peterson? That is an absolute and get this, you notice no one says anything about it because you know why? Media in Philly, we get a nice call from Bob Lang and the Eagles. Why would you say that? Or they wouldn't put people on the show like they did it to Angelo at the end. That's how they control the narrative. And then those stupid records. Get this. Nick's got the records. Doug's got the Super Bowl. See, when I put Doug's record out there and post it, I put a chip at the end. You know what you put? Nothing. I mean, it's an ego fire. That's a narcissist fire. Dude, tell me you're not impressed with Doug Peterson last night. Dude, Jags are 5-2. They're going to get to the AFC title game. That team is getting better and better and better and better, and they don't even know it. And by the way, they're the freaking Jaguars. So when Doug went into Philly, he didn't have to change a culture. The culture's already set. That's a great culture for any coach to walk into and succeed in. Like going into Chicago right now, that's a shit environment. But look at Cincinnati, what Burrow's doing with this guy, Zach Taylor. Seriously. I mean, it's the greatest era of football in Cincinnati because Burrow's there. And he changed the culture. When you have culture-changing coaches and players, and you get that dynamic right, I don't care what the emblem is on the helmet. You're going to win ball games. Steve goes, I'm taking a shot at... No, I want to know why you hired a lesser coach. Or, excuse me, fired what I saw last night. That was great play call. I don't know what the hell, man. I'm telling you, that should have been more made of a deal of. And you know what they did? They hung it on all those shitbox guys you were throwing the ball to in the 4-win season for Wentz and all the garbage that was going, playing around with the roster, sitting guys here, sitting guys there, trying to get, you know what he did? That 4-win season, you know what, how he did? He not only sabotaged Doug Peterson, but he was sabotaging him with the excuse that he had to go get a higher draft pick. So at the expense of the coaches and the players, how he wanted a better pick. That's tanking. You basically, that 4-win season, you acted like the Sixers under Elton Brand. I mean, I'm sorry. And the reason I'm doing this is because I've been watching for 6 weeks here. And again, I'm gonna go here with you. I mean it. I'm liking some of the things that I'm seeing with Sean Desai. Somebody goes like this, how do you know that? What are you watching? What are you watching? How do you not come to that conclusion? How do you not come to that? That's the story. That's what you did. That's not a hypothesis. That guy took a backup quarterback with a very talented roster and great coaching and took you and beat the GOAT. Then what happened was that guy started losing assistant coaches. Same thing Belichick has happened to him in his front office with Nick Caserio and guys like that and assistant coaches. And then the talent some of those guys were mercenaries like Chris Long and them dudes. And then he gets some of the pieces right. And his drafting sucked. I'm watching Doug Peterson last night, and I'm going, you fired that guy? For that guy, the cheerleader who bullshits you on a Wednesday and apologizes for not having more input in a play that cost you an interception and turnover against the shitty Jets. Oh, wait, that's made up too, right? You think Doug Peterson will ever have his play calling duties taken from him? Ask yourself that massive question. You think Doug Peterson, I'll bet you anything. Now, this is a guess. Tone, I don't know if you know this, because I don't. I wonder if Howie wanted the play calling duties taken away from Doug so that he could kind of cripple his strength as he was growing with more power in the organization. Because remember something, Jeffrey Lurie had to pick between one or the other. And he went out with Howie. The reason he went with Howie was because they've always done that with guys like Joe Banner going all the way back. They've stuck with the GM because the GM watches the owner's money. Okay, then get this. If I'm way off base, why did they blow him out again? Why did they blow that guy out who's superior to Nick? Superior. Like, do I think Doug Peterson could go up to Chicago and turn that thing into a winner? I do. Do I think Nick could go up there? He's Matt Eberflus. Why did they fire Doug again? Why did Howie fire him? Why did they fire him? Look, I know you guys love your birds. And again, this is sports talk conversation because I saw how good and a job that Doug Peterson's doing with the Jags. The Jags are an awful organization. Awful. He won a division title last year, a playoff game, developing the number one overall pick into who he is. And he's got one of the better records in the AFC. Why did you blow that guy out again? Oh, I do get it. That's why you ain't winning a Super Bowl. Dude, do I think that Jalen Hurts can revert into something like Carson Wentz? Is there more of a chance that Jalen falls into the same pits of Wentz? I'm going to say no, because he has better character. But he should take more ownership, because that guy has the capability of putting him in the gutter like he's done before. He's not a football on the field guy. He thinks he is. Jerry Jones isn't. Because he won 4 games. Because that damn roster that season, and because Howie wanted so let me get this right. He won 4 games. And that 4-game season, so you look at that 4-game season of being completely undermined, and when he finally got control of his own destiny, that's what you see in Jacksonville. Huh. Howie's not in the way in Jacksonville. Jacksonville. Howie ain't in the way there. Nobody's in the way. So let me say this to you. Hey, here's the even $1 million question. Dude, I mean it. I'm watching Trevor Lawrence play last night, and I'm going like, he convinced him to play on a bad knee. And you got Mrs. Watson in Cleveland crying about some shit. And that coach, Kevin Stefanski, can't motivate him to get out there and play. And they got a good football team. And Doug's like, we need you. I don't blame Doug entirely for that 4-11-1 season. Hard to win when your entire offensive line is on IR and your quarterback has the yips. Yeah, no. And get this, when you had shittier coaching and shittier players, Wentz's character was exposed. Absolutely. That's why I don't believe that Jalen will go down that same road. But Jalen is trending not up right now. He's kind of flatlined. And if you really want to be fair, he's flatlined because the coaches have put him in turnover situations. Jalen Hurts is not the fault here. Jalen Hurts is being put in more turnover situations. Doug is 55-47. Get there. See that right there? This is where this guy's so stupid, this LJ guy. Doug is 55-47. Had to come in and pick up the bullshit after Chip Kelly. You probably say the same shit about Vermeil. Who's a better coach, Vermeil or Nick? Got a better record. Got a better record. He's got a better win percentage, doesn't he? According to LJ and his bullshit stuff, he thinks that Nick is a better coach than Dick Vermeil with his metric. Sirianni's a better coach than Vermeil. His metric, he thinks he's better. Ungrateful ass fans. Doug won the Super Bowl and coached his ass off and turned a mess around. Mess, you guys tell me all the time, you don't even want to bring up that guy. Look at people. Some of the people in here going like this. That that Sirianni's got all the equity. Really? So he hired Julio Jones. That makes sense then. If Nick did that, bullshit sign. You're right. You're like this, Sills. It's really nothing. I know. I know. How about this? Do you think you're going to win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts next 5 years? Yeah. Do you think Jalen Hurts wins a Super Bowl with Nick Sirianni as his head coach? If Sirianni ever ended up coaching the Commanders or Giants, fans would turn on his ass so quick. Without Doug and Wentz, you're the Lions. Ungrateful. And Schwartz. Hey, by the way, let's just do this. Let's just do this. So you got to, hey, Tone, think about this for a second. So let me get this right. You got a coach in Jacksonville who's 5-2. You got a defensive coordinator who is on track to have a generational defense in Cleveland with the best defensive player in the sport in Myles Garrett. And the OC of that team is the head coach in Carolina. And he was the OC in that Super Bowl. All three of those Super Bowl winning coaches are successful coaches. And you fired them. Resigned. Elevated. And you fired the head rooster. 88. Hey, do me a favor? 55. Look at this. Look at, see 88 down here? Here's Nick. 55, 47. Nick, since the 2-5 start, is 22-2. Doug was 55-47 with a Super Bowl ring. Who'd you rather be? 88 would rather be 22-2 than 55-47 with a Super Bowl. That's all you need to know about some people. That's all you need to know. 5-1. Nothing. 5-2. A Super Bowl coach. You will never have anything over him, no matter what his record is. Nothing. You have nothing. Sirianni is here, and Doug is way up here. $22-2. Goose egg. 55-47. Lombardi trophy. Got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? And you fired him because you hated that he was right. He was right. Hence what we're seeing. He was right. Doesn't it bug you that the two coaches that are Super Bowl winning coaches you fired for your front office? You fired Andy Reid. He goes to Kansas City. Doug wins the Super Bowl, gets fired, and now he's turning around Jacksonville. How do you justify this? How do you justify it? And you hire lesser coaches because your general manager's afraid that one day a coach will have the autonomy in the building to fight back in some of your decision making on personnel moves like Julio Jones or whatever. I mean, I was really confused. Dude, that was such a great game plan. I'm watching this thing last night, and I just, for the life of me, kept going, why in the world would you get rid of that guy? If it became a point where it was a power struggle between the coach and GM. And that's why you got lesser coaches and these training wheel guys. Dan acts like we're not one of the. See that guy, Medium? He's saying that I'm acting like the Eagles are not one of the best teams. Unfortunately, you are one of the best teams, but unfortunately, you have one of the worst coaching staffs. You've been out-coached in almost every game. Hence why every team's been in games. Why you have high turnovers. You can't get the ball in the end zone. You're kicking field goals against shitty teams, and you actually lost against the worst offensive football team in the NFL last week. Not all percent are equal. Doug fired himself. Doug fired himself because he knew he was right. So he was fired because the general manager believed he was right. Is Seifert a better coach than Schottenheimer? No. He went to Carolina and proved the fact that he sucked. Schottenheimer went everywhere. Marty's problem was in the postseason. I mean, Seifert goes to Carolina. He was 1-15. I think he was 1-15. He may have actually had a goose egg. I don't think they were 0-16, but he was 1-15. This guy took the Jags over. Ron Rivera took Carolina to a Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme. Do you understand that? Ron Rivera took a football team. Oh, wait a minute. No, that was the D coordinator. That was the D coordinator. What's his name? He was in Denver. He's the guy that took that guy. He had Jake Delhomme. He had Cam Newton. Greg something. I forget. Was it what Greg help me out, guys. Who was the coach at Carolina? Greg he was a coordinator in Chicago too a little bit. John Fox, that's it. Thank you very much, Forrest. Thank you. That's right. John Fox is the one with Jake Delhomme. I mean, that guy, he took a team to a Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme, who was a worldly football player. So what, is he as good as Nick? Oh, no, because Nick's 20. What is it? Let's be fair here, because look at Eagle fan telling 75% of the true story. Let's go here. He's 24-7. Or is that right? Am I right with that? But Seifert has a Super Bowl win versus shots 0. No, you're right. Schottenheimer can go anywhere and coach. George Seifert can't. Yeah, you know why? That entire football team, you know who George Seifert is? Barry Switzer. George Seifert's Barry Switzer. That was Bill Walsh's team. Carmen Policy and John McVay built the team. He takes a Super Bowl team over, wins it, and they fired his ass. Gee, if he's so good, why did he get fired? You know, Marty Schottenheimer is 14-2 because he had an argument with A.J. Smith, the general manager. He wanted to keep Breeze. He wanted to trade Rivers. And get this, that decision probably cost San Diego a franchise. If Drew Brees stays in San Diego, the Chargers probably win a Super Bowl. Marty wanted to keep Brees. Everyone forgets Drew Brees was a Pro Bowl quarterback in San Diego. Andy Reid was fired by the Eagles and got better. Okay. All right. My friends, all good. We really appreciate everybody coming aboard here, man. Hey, listen, I got to tell you, my good friends at Northeast Hooters to go or northeasthooters.com, please do me a favor. Any one of the 7 locations nearest you, we appreciate it. Hooters2go.com. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, our great specials, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free, Wing Wednesdays, 1983. Northeasthooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. Do me a favor, hit the like button, keep it here on the National Football Show.
Whose house? I'm about to raise the roof in this party, can't stop me. The DJ on that 1s and 2s will help you move your body, probably. This will help you find it for you looking for. Turn off all the negativity, turn up the stereo. Whose house? Our house. Show me who got it like this. Whose house? Our house. Running away.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.